Hello, everyone. Welcome to our presentation about the CBE transfer process. We will get started here in a couple minutes. It's about 5 minutes to 7. We're hoping to start right at 7. See you then. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. This is Tim Kitchen. We're going to be starting in just over 2 minutes. Looks like we've got a few people interested in the transfer process, so looking forward to answering your questions and getting started. So just hold tight. We'll get started in about 2 minutes once we have everyone in. Thank you. All right, I think we've got most of the people that we were expecting in our session. We're going to start off with a little introduction from Ms. Elliott and get our transfer process presentation going. I see lots of questions in the Q&A. We will look to answer most of those through the presentation, and if there's others, we'll spend some time answering those afterwards. Over to you, Ms. Elliott.
Thanks, Mr. Kitchen. So last year, the CBE started a new transfer process to provide opportunities for students to move to their non-designated school and access programming that is maybe not available at the school they are designated to. So in order to transfer between CBE schools, it's helpful to know which school you are designated to. And you do that through the CBE Find a School app. So students are automatically registered at their designated high school based on their address. You can use that app and type in your address, and it tells you what your designated high school is, tells you what your designated K-12 school is, and through that, you can explore that school to see if it has the courses and programs that you are interested in taking. And if you are interested in a different high school, you need to follow the school transfer process. And that's what we're going to go through this evening. I am going to pass things back to Mr. Kitchen to talk a little bit about the program and sequence of courses that provide for transfers.
Perfect, thanks, Ms. Elliott. So essentially there are two ways to do the transfer process. One, if there's a specific program like an international baccalaureate program that's not available at your school, you can apply to a designated school that's closest to your area to do that. Or the most common reason for transfer is a sequence of events. And when there is a sequence of events, that means like a course that starts typically in grade 10 and would go through to grade 11 and grade 12. And once you start in that program, it is required that you stay in the program to stay at the school for the entire duration of that. So for instance, if you went into our German program at grade 10, the expectation is that you would complete the grade 10, 11, and 12 in order to stay at the school that you have transferred to. Those transfer applications, the deadline will be in mid-March going forward for the 2022-23 year, which is the upcoming year. So if you are looking to transfer to our school, you would need to get your application in prior to the mid-March deadline, which will be published in the new year. In order to be eligible to get a transfer to the school. Now, different schools have different enrollment status based on the room that they have to accept other students. As we are going in next year to be the Spanish bilingual program for the entire board, we will anticipate having fewer spots to be able to accept students on transfer than we have in the past. However, we do expect that we will have some. Again, those statuses will be published on the website prior to applications being released. And the different statuses are either open, in other words, students can apply and right up to the amount that the school has capacity. Limited, meaning that there's a small number of students that can be accepted to that school, or a closed school where based on the designated students at that school, they are already full and there are no room at this point. So at this point, we don't know what our status will be until the new year. There's a number of factors at play. And again, that will be on the CBE website in the new year to indicate what the status of Crescent Heights and all other high schools will be. Okay, moving on to Ms. Elliott.
Yeah, so this is just simply the high school enrollment status summary. And basically, this is from the 2020 to 2021 school year. And as Mr. Kitchen said, this does change from year to year, but we've wanted to put this up as an example. So our open schools are listed there, schools that are open to transfers. So that means that those schools are not nearing capacity and have room for students to join. And if they're offering a program that you want to take, then you apply to transfer, and you are more than likely to be accepted. There are some exceptions to that. You would have to talk to individual schools about the programs that they offer. Limited schools, which is what Crescent Heights was this year, are schools that are nearing capacity and schools that may just have limited space. And by limited, that can range from, they're allowing in 100 to 400 students, depending on the space that a school might have. Closed schools are schools that are at capacity based on projections. And so they are schools that have very limited space, and they are really only allowing in the students who are designated to them for a specific program and specific neighborhoods. You can see there that Centennial, Ernest Manning, those schools are closed. They are bursting at the seams and do not have room for a lot of extra students. We have not been told, as Mr. Kitchen said, our enrollment status for the upcoming school year. So stay tuned for that. That'll get published really early in 2022 as the transfer process timeline is formalized. That email typically goes out to all CBE families and you'll get more information there. I'll talk quickly about change of address as well, because that always comes up in this process. And so if you move, you can update your address with the CBE, and sometimes that does impact which school you would go to. So for example, if your student is currently in grade 9 and you live in an area that is currently designated to Crescent Heights, and you move within that area and you continue to be designated to Crescent Heights, you would stay with us. If you move to another area of the city, then that is going to change your designation. And so if you are not in a Crescent Heights area currently and you move into one of our designated areas, then that would designate you to our school. And so the form is used to request an immediate transfer or a transfer for the school year. So if you move sometime in this next, 7-8 months, then you would update that at the school and you would be designated to the school in that catchment or for the school that you would attend in grade 10, 11, and 12. If your student starts with us in grade 10, and let's say that you move in February of their grade 10 year, and they're still able to get here and you want them to attend Crescent Heights, they can remain at the school they started at for the remainder of their program. They are not asked to leave in the middle of their 3-year stint with a school. But if, transportation becomes a barrier and things become complicated for getting to the school, then, you may work with your assistant principal and guidance counselor to look at attending your designated school. If there's a note here about transferring, mid-year in high school, we talked about semesters in our last session. It's very rare that you would want to move schools in the middle of a semester. For example, right now in the middle of November, it would be really difficult to change schools. So we do encourage families to look at these types of changes at a semester change. So at the end of January for a February start. That's not to say that we want to tell you you can only move certain times of year, but we would probably only move school certain times of year. So that may require a bridge transportation system or a way to get to school for that short period while you're living maybe a little further from the school. I'm going to pass things back to Mr. Kitchen to talk about transferring for unique school settings.
Perfect. Before we get on to that, there was a question asking which programs would allow a student not designated to Crescent Heights to transfer to Crescent Heights. So we will put in the chat a link, and you can just go to our website as well, Crescent Heights, and look at our option courses. So essentially, if there is an option course program that is available at our school that is not available at your designated school, then there's an option to transfer to us. If a school that's closer to you in your area has the same program though, that would be the first school. So again, if there's a program in which your son or daughter is really excited to join, your designated school does not have that. So that's going to require you going to open houses of the designated school that you're at, finding out what programs they offer, comparing it to a school that you would like to transfer to. And if that program is not available at your designated school, and it is at the school that you would like to go to, and there isn't a closer school, then that would allow you to apply for a transfer and use this transfer process. So there are a few schools that have a slightly different program, and they are unique settings. Those are the ones that I've got up here: Alternative High School, Discovering Choices, Jack James High School, and Louise Dean. Those all have a unique setting transfer request form, and you can again find that on the CBE website by going to high school transfer process and download that form if your student is interested in going to one of those 4 schools. Okay, we are now going to look at the complimentary offerings, and Miss Elliott's just going to throw that again into the chat so that you have that link. But as we talked about in the main program, we have a huge option of different unique option courses here at Crescent Heights. Again, some that are offered at other schools, some that are unique to Crescent Heights High School. Things like the computer science, leadership, legal studies, sports medicine, mental technology. We have the new outdoor ed program that's not offered at a lot of our schools. We have a very wide language program here, including our new program in Spanish, immersion, and that's only open to people who have students who have gone through the immersion program in the middle school. But we also offer Spanish for students who have not experienced Spanish before, as well as German, French, and Chinese. We have our fine arts program, again, may or may not be offered at your dedicated school: art, choral, dance, drama. And we also have some unique additional course offerings in forensic science, Aboriginal studies, and psychology and sociology. So again, if you're looking for an opportunity for transfer, you'd be looking at those course options and seeing if those are things that are offered at your designated school. And if they're not, that would be an opportunity to possibly transfer to our school based on what we end up being in terms of able to accept transfers. All right, so that gets us close to the end of our formal session. Ms. Elliott's going to finish off with our connected section.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Kitchen. I'm just madly typing in answers here. So I may actually just take a moment and answer a couple of questions that continue to come up. So I just want to clarify that in order to transfer to any CBE school, that school needs to be offering a program or a sequence of courses that is not available at your designated school. I'm going to give an example. So if you are designated to Crescent Heights High School and your child wants to be able to take basket weaving 10, 20, 30, we don't offer basket weaving 10, 20, 30. So you would need to look for a CBE school that your child can get to transportation wise that does offer that sequence of courses. Now, I purposely chose basket weaving. It's a bit silly, but it's a good example of a way that a student would transfer. Your child needs to be committed to taking the full expression of that course all the way to the 30 level and be committed to fulfilling that. So when people ask what courses allow us to do that, to attend Crescent Heights, it's not a simple answer, because you have to look at the school that you're designated to and then compare their complementary course offerings and programs with what we offer. And then your child needs to identify an interest in that area, because they're going to need to take it for 3 years while they're with us, or for 3 courses. And so we encourage you to really, really carefully review the offerings at your designated school, and then take a look at ours and compare those and find a program or a sequence of courses that your child is interested in and wants to pursue with us. So that's just one thing I wanted to clarify. There's also a question here that I've answered by typing, but I was trying to do it really quickly. So did we lose any programs in order to make room for the Spanish bilingual program? And we did not. So this is a new offering at the school, but we have not changed any of the complementary offerings that we currently have. So anything that we have this year in terms of option courses and complementary courses will still be available in the future as far as we know. So occasionally there can be staffing changes that can affect some of our programming. So we can't say we will forever and always offer basket weaving. If our specialist in basket weaving were to retire or move to another school or move out of country for some exciting opportunity, that may temporarily impact some of our course offerings just in terms of hiring. So we can't guarantee that forever, but as we publish our course offerings each year, so what I put into the comments here, I put in a complimentary course guide that is updated for next year. And as far as we know, those are all the courses that we'll offer. Before I talk a little bit about staying connected, I'm just going to take a second look at the questions and make sure that we have answered them all. So there is a question here about non-designated students were taken in past years. And that varies quite a bit. Based on survey data, about 30 to 35% of Crescent students come here for a special program or sequence of courses. So that's quite a bit. We have a lot of students who come to Crescent from out of area, and as far as we know, that's not changing a lot in the coming years. I'm just looking here. There's a question about a student designated to Diefenbaker and wants to do AP. So what would happen is, and Diefenbaker is outside of our area, and so in that case, they may have you go to the school that is adjacent to Diefenbaker that offers AP, and hopefully Mr. Kitchen can interrupt me and tell me what that would be. But you can also do in the Find My School search that. So AP is offered basically at every high school that doesn't offer IB. There's 3 designated IB schools in the CBE, and basically every other high school offers AP. So AP isn't a great transfer reason. So I would encourage you to look at the complementary course offerings and find courses there that interest your child in order to transfer here, and then they can also take AP. Okay, I'm just looking here. Maybe Mr. Kitchen has answers to other questions while I'm answering this.
Yeah, no, that's great. So I'm just going into the chat.
Yeah, that's great. There's another question here about the transfer process for someone who wants to join for grade 12 from another school district. So joining from another school district really just means that you're registering in the CBE. If we are your designated school, then it's not a matter of transferring. You're just going to register at your designated school if you're coming from another district. If, however, we are not your designated school, then you are going to need to register at your designated school first. So let's pretend that your designated school is Diefenbaker, just because I was just talking about it. You will need to register there. Once you are registered there, then you undergo the transfer process through the CBE. So every student new to the CBE registered at their designated school, and then the transportation program, I'm tripping over my words this evening. The transfer process takes over from there. Okay, is one complementary course enough to transfer? Yes, it's actually 3 courses because it's typically 1 each year for all 3 years, but that is enough to transfer. So let's say you wanted to transfer to take German or Mandarin 10, 20, 30 here, then that is enough if your designated school doesn't offer it and a school in your area doesn't offer it. How does the student get selected based on option courses? So really it's space. So if a student, and it goes to lottery, so I'll give mechanics as an example because it's limited in terms of space. Let's say that we have 100 spaces for grade 10 students to take mechanics that want to transfer in, then 100 people apply to take mechanics with us. Great, everything you get in for that. If there's 125 people who want to take mechanics, then they do go to a lottery process, and you go that route. I don't think last year that we had to go that route, just to let you know. So people ask, what courses does Crescent Heights take that the other school doesn't? I need you to go to each school's website, look at their complementary courses, and review based on what they're offering and what we're offering and something that you're interested in. So there are courses that each school does and doesn't offer, so you're just going to need to go to each one and do that, that research a little bit. Looking through the questions here. Sorry for any delays here. Yeah, so a question about, you know, how many spots and how much room there is. It is sort of interesting. So this year we didn't reach a spot where people were declined placement because we ran out of room. And you know, we don't expect that to happen, but at the same time, it's hard to tell the future. And so we are a really big school, so we do have quite a bit of space. So I don't see a time when we're, you know, right away that we're reaching that, but I don't set those numbers. The system does separate from that. So. So someone asked, where can we find the complimentary course list for other high schools? You're going to need to look on their websites. They're in a similar spot in each school. It's usually under course offerings, and they should have that listed fairly soon here. It may not be right away. Again, this process doesn't start until early 2022, yeah. And so the schools will have that up. I would expect by mid-January, every school will have it up. So you may just need to check every so often. A question about when it starts. It does start early in the calendar year. The system sends out an email to all CBE families to let them know. Okay, so how does registration begin? So if you are designated to our school and you go to a school that is one of our feeder schools, that registration happens automatically. If you are in our catchment and you go to any other school, it does happen automatically, and someone from our school will be reaching out to choose courses. If you are currently outside the system, registration can happen at any point. You just need to fill out the registration program. Okay. What is the lottery deadline? So that is that mid-March deadline, and that becomes part of the transfer process info that'll come out early in 2022. Mid-January, late January is typical, but I don't have a specific date. They haven't published that quite yet. So stay connected. The best place to look is on our website. And I know I've referenced it a couple times here, and I know that from time to time, it can feel like you're really wading in. If you're really struggling to find information on our website, please just call us or email us. Our emails are, again, all on the website, which is sort of ironic, but you can reach out and say, I can't find something on the website. We can help you. Of course, School Messenger, if your child is in a grade 9 CBE school, all information is sent through Messenger. There are system messages that come out to all families, as well as messages from your specific grade 9 school. So we encourage you to make sure that you're subscribed to that. We have a Twitter account, Crescent Cowboys, Instagram, Crescent Cowboys. I find Instagram really helpful in terms of goings on at the school and ways to get engaged and learn information. There's a question here about when can I apply to get into Crescent for AP. So again, AP is something that's not going to be a great reason to apply to Crescent. So if you're not designated Crescent, I encourage you to look at those complimentary course offerings and you know, take a look. And if you really want to come to Crescent and do AP, that's amazing, but you'll need to transfer for one of those complimentary offerings that isn't available at your designated school. If you are registered in a CB school already and we are your designated school, then you can, you don't have to do anything special to register for AP. Your child's grade 9 teachers will recommend them for that, and we will put them in those courses based on recommendations. Okay. So someone is talking about moving. So if you're going to move schools, then the school you are at, so your grade 9 school, is going to ask for your new proof of address, and they will walk you through that process. We don't do that because you're not currently our student, and we can't change that information in the database. So you're going to do that through your current school, and they will talk you through what proof of address you need. It's a little bit specific, so make sure you check in with their front office staff. All right, Mr. Kitchen, the questions seem to be tailing off here, so I think we're good for you to finish us up.
I think you're right. Thank you very much for everyone who joined us tonight. It was great questions. Again, feel free to reach out to us through our emails on the school website or calling the school if you have questions as things get closer to registration time. We really appreciate your time, and we look forward to accepting you and your son or daughter into our learning community if that's the way it goes. So again, thank you very much, everyone. We will stay on for a little bit to look at the live event Q&A to see if there's any more questions. Otherwise, have a great evening, and we hope to see you soon here at Crescent Heights.
Okay, just don't end the meeting because I'm trying to answer questions here for a second. A question about Dash T courses. So the grade 9 teachers make a recommendation. Yes, any child in a school that is part of our catchment will be able to offer that information as well. Our guidance people, so you heard Ms. Moore speak earlier, make visits, so whether virtual or live, to each of those schools, and they'll be able to talk you through that more. If you're not at one of those schools, please feel free to reach out to our guidance department to ask those questions. A question, secondary choice for special class for transfer. You can. We recommend one choice because it does get a little confusing in terms of what you'd be asking for. It's not out of question that people would do that from time to time, but we really do want to encourage people to make one choice. Last year, the form allowed you to make more than one choice. We know the form is changing slightly, and so it may have a first or a second choice. We're not entirely sure at this moment what that form will look like because it's being updated for the new year. There was a technical glitch and someone missed most of the session. Is there a replay? Oh, Mr. Kitchen's typing. I believe he recorded this, so we will be able to publish that for you. What is used as proof of address? Again, talk to your current school. They'll be able to let you know what that is. It needs to be done through the school you're currently registered at. And hey, no problem for someone thanking us for answering all the questions. No problem at all. That's what we're here for. Okay, I think we're going to end the session. Thanks for coming tonight. And we really look forward to meeting your children in September. Take care.
Thank you very much. Well, have a good night. Bye.